Bruce, you talked about it a lot with a lot of people here this past couple of days. Now that it is a day away, what are the emotions?
I talked to the team yesterday, and I wanted to talk to them yesterday, not today, about the environment and about those emotions, so that they weren't either troubled or concerned or bothered by it in any way. You know, obviously, from the minute we get off the plane, ESPN is going to be there. They're going to make a deal about my return to Knoxville, you know, the game is going to be on ESPN 2 noon, special start time, an early start time. Carol Austin's calling the game. There's just Jeff Goodman's going to be on the sidelines. It's just going to be a lot more attention. So I wanted them to be prepared for that and actually, relish the opportunity to play in front of more of a national audience. I said the second thing, I asked them to try to understand what my emotions are going to be prior to the game. For those of you that don't know me, I mean, I'm not Dick Vermeil, but I can get watery, and it's not something I'm going to try to. I can't control it. It just happens when sometimes I talk about my players, or I talk about my family, or I talk about things that I'm passionate about. It happens sometimes, but from the minute we get in that huddle to start playing, there won't be any different emotion as it relates to coaching, as it relates to the game. My preparation prior to has been the same. It's been consistent. But I'm sure that in the moments leading up to tip, that it'll be difficult.
What do you suspect the moments after might be with a win?
Well, I mean, we'll then start focusing on how we're going to guard Richardson and Punter and more one-on-one as they create isolating situations for them. We'll think about how we got to deal with their length, particularly in the backcourt, because they're terrifically long, and dealing with attacking their zone, which is a unique zone, something that we haven't played against all year long. We've practiced it, but it's hard to duplicate. Attacking their pressure without turning the ball over, because they do a really good job in their creating live ball turnovers, and they score out of those turnovers. We've got to mix our inside attack with our outside attack. Sometimes you'll settle and live on the perimeter against the zone, and we've got to do a good job of blending that. So it'll all be about the things that we need to do to try to compete and put ourselves in position to have a chance to win the basketball game. That's what the focus will be.
Bruce, are you planning anything, just for yourself to kind of, once you get back into Thompson, bowling or anything, just to kind of maybe take the edge off a little bit?
There won't be any time. From the minute I walk into that building and get off the bus, there's going to be a camera in my face. It'll walk me into the bathroom, okay? And that's just how it is. I lived on the other side of media. They're going to want to know every time I scratch my nose and every little emotion that's going through me and whatever. I understand that. College game day is going to be someplace else. I'm sure they're going to be reporting on that game. So actually, in some ways, the fact that college game day is going to be probably Virginia Duke. And there'll be some report coming out of Knoxville about the Auburn Tennessee game. That's good for Auburn basketball. That's good for the Auburn athletic program to bring that, for that visibility on a Saturday afternoon, almost in February in college basketball. So now we just got to, obviously take advantage of it. But as far as me in a moment, there won't be any moments. I think God blessed me with an 11 a.m. Eastern start time, or 11 Central start time, in the sense that there's no time leading up to anything for me to do anything other than get my team ready to go out there and play.
What are you expecting tonight at your charity event? How much money are you expecting to raise? And what do you think the feedback will be like there? Because I'm sure there's a lot of friends there you'll see.
Well, the feedback is quite simple, like it always is. I mean, why couldn't I just come back into town and have some of my friends and family over at the hotel and have a gathering? Why would I have to make them pay $300 a ticket to come say hello to me for 5 minutes so that I could donate their money to my favorite charity? I mean, that's just typical. So why should I ever change? But that's what we're going to do. And the reason why we're doing it is because even the 3 years after I got fired from Tennessee, we continue to have Bruce Pearl for the kids, and we continue to be able to donate about $100,000 a year to a couple of charities. One, the University of Tennessee Hospital, and we focused on the needs they had there for children, whether it be in the emergency room or cancer and things like that. And then the other half went to Camp Coania, which was a camp that was run out of the School of Education, University of Tennessee. About 300 UT students took this class, and they learned how to give care to children with multiple handicaps. And then we went for 1 week out on the plateau in Tennessee, and we had a camp with horseback riding and arts and crafts and dancing and you name it. And these children got to go to camp like children that don't have challenges. Their parents got a week off, and these UT students got the educational experience of a lifetime. And I would be there every year, either on Sunday to tip it off or on Friday to close it down. That $50,000 a year doesn't just go away. So my wife and I and our family are going to make a contribution, as well as asking our friends if they would help us, and if we could raise, you know, $40,000 or $50,000 tonight to make that happen, that would be great.
They're also, I heard they're also going to endow a scholarship in your name, in the family name, correct?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
I don't know that University of Tennessee, you talking about Tennessee?
No, I mean,
I
like, I thought
They
that
will be
was,
endowment. There will be no endowment there.
for the camp, I thought that was.
Although I do have, although I'm very proud that I do have an endowed scholarship at the University of Tennessee. It's actually the Dane Bradshaw Scholarship. That's an endowed scholarship for men's basketball in recognition of our first few years at Tennessee and the contribution that Dane made. But I don't know anything else about anything else.
Have you got any idea how, I mean, fans always react a certain way to opposing coaches anyway, but do you have any idea how the fans are going to, the reception you're going to get?
I don't know how the reception will be. You know, first of all, when they go Bruce, some will be booing and some will be brewing. You know, so I don't know which one it's going to be, and it doesn't. You know, it doesn't matter as much because I've got so many great friends and family that are still there, and still feel really good about our run and almost everything we accomplished, and that's all good. But it's also history. We had our run, and it was special. It'll live, but it's history, but it's still part of SEC history. I'm trying to make SEC history and history here at Auburn by getting this basketball program to be more competitive than what it's been in the last decade. And so once the game starts, though, I promise you that the Tennessee fans are going to want the Vols and the Big Orange to win, and there won't even be a smidge of a conflict, and there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be, and there won't be. So it'll be their biggest crowd. It'll be, it'll be a sellout, close to a sellout, and that's great. Great for the Tennessee kids and great for my kids to play in that environment. And we're going to have to be able to handle the noise and handle the intensity, because while some of them may still feel good about the time we had there, they're going to want to beat me. You know, they're going to want to continue to, prove that, hey, we had our run. We left it in pretty good shape, and I'm just glad that we left the history and culture and tradition of continuing to win. And you know what? For the most part, they have.
It's been reported that a lot of people over there, administration-wise, really wish that this game was here this year. When you knew that you were going to be returning there, did you almost wish that? Did you want to return this season, or did you want to return a year?
It doesn't matter. You know, it really doesn't matter. It just this will be the hardest return. To be playing on Pat's court. That'll be hard.
Let's talk about their zone defense. What's different about it? What makes it tough?
It's a 1-1-3 that is as high and as extended a 1-1-3 as you'll see. And the two guards they'll put up front, Richardson at 6'6" and long, and then Punter will be up there sometimes too. It makes it really hard to get that ball inside. And then when you kick it on the wings to where we have KT and Antoine, they'll really jump out and make sure that they're there on the catch. The baseline is available, but if you put it there, you better make a play with it, because they'll trap it down and then they'll turn you over if you get it there, and you don't get it there in advantage-disadvantage situations. So, every coach has got good stuff against the zone. We're going to have to win things. We're going to have to win coming out of timeouts. But it's one thing to have good stuff. It's another thing to get it there. And then obviously make shots. And we're going to have to knock down threes when you play against the zone, but we can't just settle for that. We're going to have to drive the ball to the basket. A lot of times against the zone, you stand there and You just spot up. We're going to have to get in the gaps and then see if we can make plays in the lane for ourselves and for others. And then the press is good too. They do a good job with that.
Is Antoine a guy because of that, the guy that kind of can take it to the basket, do some of those things from the wing, maybe be able to attack some?
Antoine certainly, but also Malcolm and Taj and KT and, you know, Sim, all of them are going to have to be at times be able to get in there and create and be productive and not turn it over.
Bruce, is there any one game or one thing that stands out to you from your time at Thompson Boulder Arena?
No, there isn't. The thing, and again, the thing about it, and I apologize, I've said it before, but it's just where it's at. When, you know, your first game, you know, my first game in my mind was Wisconsin-Milwaukee when we played them here. ESPN was here. Chris Cotter and Seth Greenberg were on the call. It was a late game. The football team was playing at Georgia the next day, and it was part of. It was a big night. It was an open night in college basketball, and ESPN was there. That was a pretty special, and it was one of my former teams, and so there are special nights. We've had some special nights here, against Xavier, or against Missouri or South Carolina. You know, we beat #1 teams in the country. We beat Kansas when they were #1. Chris Lofton knocked down a shot 40 feet away from the basket with Kevin Durant draped all over him. And we beat Texas. And we've beaten Kentucky. And we've beaten, you know, a lot of great teams there. I've had children graduate from high school there and graduate from college there. You know, my wife Brandy and I, we had an event in Knoxville called, we hosted the Evening in Orange. And that was a $1 million fundraiser. After we paid all the bills, we were able to donate $1 million just from that night. They never had one, and they've not had one, you know, since. And we did that months after I got fired, and you know, I feel really good about that. That was a special night, a really special night. So there just were a lot of things in there. And then the last thing is, you know what time, and this just is part of what you do. I mean, there are just some times that I'm in this building all by myself, and maybe I'll see you know, the people that do a beautiful job maintaining this building and things like that. But it's, you walk into this place and you kind of take ownership of the staircase and the hallway and things like that. And then all of a sudden you realize, you know, it's not yours. You know, you're bought in, you're all in, heart and soul. Then all of a sudden then you realize, you know, you're really leased. You're really not, you know. And so for me right now, you know, I mean, I'm all in here. This is home.
How would you compare your first year at Tennessee, your first year here now? Not necessarily talking about what's happened on the court, but just the overall taking over the program.
Well, I can't. You know, you have to. We're judged based on winning and losing. And you know, when I was able to go to Tennessee, and I inherited a talented roster that had underachieved, and here I inherited a thin roster that didn't underachieve. They actually were well coached, and they did just outmanned. And we graduated 3 seniors that played a lot of basketball, including one of the best players in the league, and Chris Denson. It was a different time. I was able to do things at Tennessee right away because the roster was prepared. And so we've got to, you know, it's going to be different. So some of the shine's going to wear off the apple. Some of the shine that I'm going to come in here and turn this program right around, which some people maybe thought was possible, that's gone, you know. But in some ways we've made enough progress with the program because there's more to it than just the winning and losing. It's the academics, it's the culture of discipline, it's the effort and the energy. We've got to win enough games to be able to continue to make progress, be competitive, recruit positively, good recruiting in the future. So the success is just, we're just going to have to wait longer for the success.
Is there an update on Taj as to whether he'll be able to play? Or?
As far as I know, last night in his sleep, he did not dislocate either shoulder. So I think, but I don't know. I haven't talked to the trainer yet. And I don't make light of that. But this young kid, Taj Shamsuddin, is playing with 2 shoulders that could dislocate when you know, at any time. I mean, he could dislocate. They're both loose.
Do one more. You had mentioned.
Oh, I answered a medical question. I answered a medical question. and we're staying in a Marriott, not a Holiday Inn Express. Like Dan, the league knows. The Tennessee's players know that he's wearing 2 harnesses. If they want to go after his shoulder, you know. If we want to go after Richard Sherman's broken whatever it is, that's up to us.
You mentioned playing Trayvon Moore.
No, you mentioned playing Trayvon Moore.
I did, I'll admit. But then you conceded that it was something you were going to explore.
Right.
In the past few days. What has...
Okay, here's the deal. If you see it this year, I don't want you to be able to take any credit for the fact that it is being seen.
No.
That credit would go to Trayvon and Sim and some of the other other ways the roster is built. It's possible. It's possible. The only way he plays more if he plays with Simeon, because Simeon's going to play as much as he can play. And so it's a possibility that we are exploring. Trayvon has had his 2 best practices of the year this week. His best practice was Monday before Texas A&M, and he had a great practice again yesterday. And the reason why I said they weren't out there together was he wasn't ready. He's still not ready, but he's getting closer.
Thanks, guys. Casey, just come in.